Okay. Today we will see, because we are trying to learn English, what could be the test which will actually tell us whether I know good English or not. ಸಿ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಡೌಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಸರ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಾನು ಫೀಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನಾನು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಕಲಿತಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನನಗೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಐ ನೋ ಗುಡ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಅಂತ. ಅಟ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲನ ಜಾಬ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಐ ನೋ ಗುಡ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಕಾಮನ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ IELTS and TOEFL. So let us try to answer what is IELTS and TOEFL exams are done. So when I talk about this, the answer would be the two main English language proficiency tests accepted at universities across the world are ಮೊದಲನೇದು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಫಾರಿನ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್, ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಫಾರಿನ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್, ಅದನ್ನು ಟೋಫಲ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಎರಡನೇದು ದ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್, IELTS ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ದ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್. After you have written, you will have to read it once.
What is IELTS and TOEFL exams?
ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ಸತಿ, what is IELTS
What
and
is-
TOEFL exam?
What is IELTS and TOEFL exams? The two main English language proficiency tests accepted at universities across the world are the test of English as a foreign language, TOEFL,
Language. Okay.
and the international English language testing system.
Okay. Now there are two such languages. You are working as a nurse, you want to go abroad, they will expect you to have cleared TOEFL or IELTS. Okay, if you are going for higher studies, you should have cleared TOEFL and IELTS. If you want to go for job abroad, you should have cleared to TOEFL and IELTS. So what is the difference between IELTS and TOEFL? One small ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ, IELTS is a shorter, perhaps more intense test with a broader variety of questions and tasks, including speaking directly with an examiner. So even in this IELTS, there will be an examiner who is going to talk to you on a one-to-one basis, and then he is going to come to a conclusion whether you are good in English or not. So when it comes to TOEFL exams, let me also ask, what could be the charges of IELTS and TOEFL exam? What is the charges of IELTS and TOEFL exams? ಇದು ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ? Why is it required? Because you should know that if I am preparing for this exam, I can't simply directly go on to take the exam. I will have to take first what is called as mock test or mock exams. Mock test means it is being given by various website providers. Okay guys, now let us try to understand what is the exam fee of TOEFL. The TOEFL exam fee, which is called as TOEFL IBT exam, in Indian rupees it is going to cost you 14,197. Assuming if $1 equals 74 rupees. If the dollar prices changes, the price also will change. So for each exam you will be paying $190 rupees. Please remember this. This is the cost of TOEFL exam. What is the cost of IELTS exam in India? So can you write down? The TOEFL exam is going to cost. The TOEFL exam is going to cost for 14,197. 14,197 exam is going to cost TOEFL TOEFL exam is going to cost 14,197 rupees, plus or minus depending on the dollar prices. Okay, now we'll go for the next question. What is the charges of IELTS exam? IELTS exam will cost approximately 15,500 rupees. IELTS exam will cost around 15,500 rupees. Okay, now next question, what will be the exam pattern, what will be the exam pattern of IELTS? Okay, now when we talk about IELTS, you will be having the test on reading skills, you will be having the test on writing skills, and then there is one more, I'll just explain you. Okay, now let's try to understand what is it exactly is the IELTS syllabus and exam pattern. If I am going as on today 2022, the IELTS will have actually exams in this following three sections. One is reading, you will have 40 questions and you will have 60 minutes. Let him open it. Okay, you will have IELTS reading section, IELTS writing section, IELTS listening section, IELTS speaking section. So whenever they are going to give you an exam, you need to actually try and work on your reading skills, writing skills, listening skills and speaking skills. So they will be checking on your listening, speaking, reading and writing. So we will have to prepare you for all these exams. So when you are going to score, okay, so you will have reading, writing, speaking and listening. So there will be for 4 such exams. So reading will be 40 questions and you will be given 60 minutes. Writing will be 2 questions, you will be given 60 minutes. So sometimes instead of writing on an online, you will have to type. Okay, so most of the exams is going to be online. Each task is assessed independently. The assessment of task 2 carries more weight in marking. Next, speaking. 3 questions will be asked, 11 to 14 minutes of speaking will be there. When you go for an online test, you will be on a video conferencing. The person on the other side will be listening at what you do and then he will be actually giving you the marks. And one more is called as listening skills. So reading over, writing over, speaking and listening. Okay, can you write down? There are four verticals or sections in IELTS exams. 1. Reading, 2. Writing, 3. Speaking, 4. Listening. Okay, reading, writing, speaking, listening. So these are the four sections. So you should be good in all this. Whenever we are going to teach you English, we are emphasizing on your reading skills. Every time we ask you to read something and we are trying to correct, we will correct. In the exam they won't correct, they will simply put negative marks to you. And when we ask you to write, we will also be checking how can you frame your own sentences and write few lines. Like when we asked about to write about your self introduction, that is the first part of writing what we do. Why do I have different situational conversation is because we are making you speak there. And every time when you are doing all this, you're listening and you're trying to understand the teacher. So you're also trying to emphasize on your listening skills. So reading will be there, writing will be there, speaking will be there, and listening will be there. Now, after we do all this, let us also try to understand what is the minimum pass for IELTS test. As I told you, the score will be to a maximum of 10 points. Okay, so you should overall score 6.5 with a minimum score of 6.0 in each category. What are all the 4 categories?
Reading, writing, speaking,
and listening. Okay, so when I say writing, instead of writing it will be typing. You will have to type. So you can put the next question. What is the pass marks for IELTS test? What is the pass marks for IELTS test? To pass IELTS exam, you need a minimum overall score of 6.5, comma, with a minimum score of 6.0 in each category, in brackets, illi bracket ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು you will have to mention reading, writing, speaking, listening. Reading, writing, speaking, listening. Okay, now if you wanted to go to Canada to work as a nurse, you can earn in lakhs, provided you, to be eligible to go to Canada, what is the minimum IELTS marks they are going to ask? The minimum IELTS they are going to expect if you want to shift to Canada is going to be for on speaking they would be expecting 7.5 to 9.0, 8.5 to 9.0, 8.0 to 9.0, 7.5 to 9.0 points per ability. So if it is federal skilled workers, if it is skilled workers, if it is non-skilled workers, this ratio is going to keep changing. So whenever we talk about an IELTS test, the International English Language Testing System is the most well-known standardized English proficiency test across the globe. The IELTS is developed by leading language assessments and is taken by millions of individuals all over the world every year. This comprehensive English proficiency exam assesses your English skills in every aspects. It is going to check your writing skills, check your reading skills, check your speaking skills, check your listening skills. The IELTS is thorough demonstration of your ability to use English to study at work and in your everyday life abroad. The IELTS is recommended for everyone hoping for further their education or who are looking to work in foreign countries and expand on skills in English dominant countries such as Australia. Australia also will ask IELTS score. Canada also will ask IELTS score. UK also will ask IELTS. USA also will ask, and New Zealand also will ask your IELTS score. The exam is recognized and accepted by all universities from all job givers, employers or people who give jobs, and all immigration officers and other professional organizations. So whenever we are trying to teach you English, we are also trying to teach you these skills only. We are emphasizing on writing skills, reading skills, speaking skills, listening skills. Okay. Now, IELTS, what is the test format? The IELTS test format is broken down into 4 categories: speaking, writing, listening, and reading. ನೀವು every day when you guys are practicing, you should also practice all these 4 activities. How good I am in speaking, how am I improving my speaking? How good I am in writing, how am I improving my writing? How good I am in listening, am I improving on my listening? How good I am in reading, am I improving in reading? ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. There are 2 versions of exams tailored for either academic or general training. The total exam time will be for 2 hours and for 45 minutes. ನೀವು ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಕೂತಾಗ it will take 2 hours and 45 minutes. So within 2 hours and 45 minutes, your score will be available, and you will be declared whether you have cleared or not. Now, listening and speaking categories are the same of both exam types. However, subject matter for reading and writing varies depending on if you are interested in academic or general testing. General testing is used for jobs, academic is used for when you want to go for academic studies. Reading, writing, listening categories of exam are all written on the same day with no intermediate breaks. The speaking component can be completed within a week before or after the other test according to your testing organization. What is the minimum IELTS score required for Canada immigration? So here he classifies the people who are going there into 2. For each program under express entry, there are different IELTS score required. Below are 3 tables that specifies IELTS score result in each of the 4 categories, how it translates your Canadian level benchmark. When we say CLB, it is Canadian level benchmark. When I say Canadian level benchmark requirement, maximum 10 plus 7, 8, 9, 10. So for points and abilities, ನೀವು 6 in the above ಇದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ you will be selected. Federal skilled trademarks, Canadian experience, we will not go deep into it, but we will try to understand what exactly you should know. IELTS listening tips. If I want to do good in listening, what is that I will have to do? Okay. The listening portion of the exam is for 30 minutes, where you will listen to 4 recording of a native English speaker. That means you will be listening to one of the speaker, and that native English speaker, whatever he is going to speak, it will be of 4 recordings. The recording will feature conversation like 2 people talking, or only a person speaking about a particular subject, an educational speaking, and a lecture. So you will find 4. What is the 4? The first one will be featuring conversation. The second one is monologue. Monologue andre yaro ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವರೇ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಕೊಂತಾ ಇರೋದು. Monologue andre there are no 2 people there. One person is expressing. An educational speaking and a lecturer. You will write your answers by hand and later assessed by your ability to comprehend the main conversation ideas, information, opinions, attitudes, and ideas and developments. After you have listened to that, you will have to start answering few questions. Based on how you answer, it will decide how well you have understood whatever you have listened. Most of the time when you watch a foreign movie, English movie, you will feel like I'm not understanding anything, everybody is laughing. Why? Because you could not understand it. So that is where your listening skills will be checked. So the best IELTS listening tips are to practice reading comprehensive beforehand and careful read questions before you begin listening. Training yourself to read context clues before you listen will help you to hear the information you are listening for. There is often spoken clues in the words and phrases that will guide you to the question you need to answer. So before listening to the tape, before listening to that, you can always go through the question, get ready, what is that it is going to speak about, and then when you can answer it perfectly, it helps. So every day when you are conversing with the teacher, it is also helping you to understand your listening tips. Let me see how you read this without mistakes. Can you read this?
IELTS listening tips. The listening portion of the exam in 30 minutes.
Ease. When you do mistakes like this in reading, 1 mark will be cut. The person will be making note of it, 1 cut. And even if it is an automated software, it will say ease was not pronounced, 1 cut agate. That's why we say reading is very very important. Yes, you start again from the first. Every time you do a mistake, we'll start from the first.
IELTS listening tips. The listening portions of the exam is 30 minutes, where you will listen to 4 recordings of negative English
One more.
speaker.
Continue.
Speakers. The recordings will feature.
This is also a mistake. When you read it twice, that means you are not comfortable, so you have read it twice. That is also a mistake. Okay, next. The recordings.
The recordings will feature conversations, a monologue, an educational speaking, and a lecture. You will write your answers by hand.
Allo, more mistake. By hand. And ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. They are also going to check how much time you are going to take to complete it. If you are taking more time, that means you are not comfortable speaking, you are putting lot of efforts to speak. These are what is called as test. That is what we wanted you as students to get an idea. Yes.
And later assessed on your ability to comprehend main conversational ideas, information, opinions, attitudes, and idea development.
Full stop. Okay, now you read. I will also read. You read along with me and see whether you can maintain that phase. Ready, steady, go. IELTS listening tips. The listening portion of the exam is 30 minutes, where you will listen to 4 recordings of the native English speakers. The recordings, with me, the recordings will feature conversations, a monologue, comma ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳಬೇಕು. Conversation, a monologue, an educational speaking, and a lecture. You will write your answers by hand and later assessed on your ability to comprehend main conversational ideas, information, opinions, attitudes, and idea development. That way you will have to try and read. So while reading, what is the significance of comma, what is the significance of a particular word, where you should give silent, what should be your pronunciation. If you learn all this, you will get hold of it. Next.
The best IELTS listening tips are to practice reading comprehension beforehand.
In one go, the best IELTS listening tips are to practice reading comprehension beforehand. The best IELTS listening tips are to practice reading comprehension beforehand.
And carefully read questions before you
Before you begin listening.
Training yourself to read context clues before you
ಅದು
listen.
ಒಂದು ಥರ ಓದಬೇಕು. Training yourself to read context clues. So context clues is one single joined word ಅಂತಾನೆ ಓದಬೇಕು. Context clues.
Before you listen will help you hear the information you are listening for.
ಅಂದರೆ ನೀವು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಮೊದಲೇ ಓದಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇದು ಪ್ಯಾಸೇಜ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So what he says, first read the questions first and then listen to the passage. ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, it is a story of a doctor, it is a story of a carpenter, it is this, the conversation is about politics. ಆ ಥರ you will start getting information at the start only, so that your mind is prepared to understand it better. ಯಾವುದೋ ಮೂವಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವಲಕ್ಕಿ ಬುವಲಕ್ಕಿ ಅಂತ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಯಾವ ಮೂವಿ ಅಂತಲೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದೆ ನೀವು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಅದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ನೀವು ಮೂವಿ ರಿವ್ಯೂನು ನೋಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೋರಿ ಆಫ್ ದ ಮೂವಿ, ಯು ನೋ ಹೂ ಆರ್ ದ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ರೆಸಸ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಯು ಗೋ ಆನ್ ಸಿಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಮೂವಿ, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಬೆಟರ್. ಎಸ್.
There is often spoken clues in words.
Often. There is often.
There is often spoken clues in words and phrases that will guide you to the questions you need to answer.
Okay. There are often spoken clues. ಇದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಸ್ಪ್ಲಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ. Spoken clues and context clues. ಇದನ್ನ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಓದಬೇಕು. There are often spoken clues in words and phrases that will guide you to the questions you need to answer. That way you will have to put the fluency. Now this is about IELTS listening tips. For those who are listening to the video, you can pause the video and I would appreciate if you can write this down completely and then go to the IELTS writing tips. Yes ma'am. So we will go to IELTS writing tips. When you write, yes, definitely your handwriting has to be neat. You should know where to use capital letters. You should know where to use punctuations. It is very, very important. Now, let us understand what are the writing tips that we are going to follow. The writing portion of the exam will be for 60 minutes. That means it is going to be for 1 hour. And the topics vary depending on the exam format. Whatever is the topic, you will have to be ready to write. If you are taking the academic text, topics will pertain to undergraduate and postgraduate studies. See, exam can be taken with two objectives. One is, I want to go to higher studies, so I take up this exam. One more, I want to go for a job, I want to work, so I take up this. Depending on what you are taking up this exam, the content is going to change and they are going to prepare for the same. So IELTS writing tips andaga, the writing portion of the exam is for 16 minutes. It will last for nearly 1 hour. Topics will vary depending on the exam format. If you have taken academic test, then the subjects will be based on what undergraduation you have completed. Okay. If you are taking up post graduation studies, then the exam will be different, and if you are going for professional exams, the examination will be different. The paper will always vary. So what will be your first task? Task 1 will be to summarize a graph, table, diagram or a chart. You may need to describe the data. That means if you have done Excel, you will understand there will be a graph. The graph could be a simple graph which is talking about what will be the rain that is going to be received in different parts of India. It could be a table which is talking about what is the concentration of population in the entire India, or it could be a diagram which is illustrating the entire flow of vaccination drive. So like this, graph agirbodu, it could be a table, it could be a diagram, or it could be a chart. You may need to describe the data, the trends or the visuals in the form of writing. You should be able to express it. Whatever I am telling, same thing has to be written. This will be the first task, task 1. Task 2 will be, it requires you to write an essay in response to a problem or an argument or a point of view. ಅವರು ಏನು ಬೇಕಾದರೂ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. They can give any kind of an argument. Do you feel women should be treated equally in this present generation? Yes, you can write. It could be an argument. You can take it as far and then you can start writing. You can take it as against and you can start writing. And you should also express your point of view. Okay, this written response requires a formal style and proper grammar. So they'll be checking for your grammar, they'll be checking for your sentence formation, they will be checking for your flow, even in writing. Same thing they may ask you to speak also. Okay, so we are only talking about writing tips. So let me ask you to read once. People who are watching the video, you should also read once and write down this once. Yes ma'am. Can you read?
IELTS writing tips. The writing portions of
Portions illa. ಸಿಂಗ್ಯುಲರ್ನ ಪ್ಲೂರಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಓದೋದು, ಪ್ಲೂರಲ್ನ ಸಿಂಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗಿ ಓದೋದು, ಯಾವುದನ್ನ ಪದನ ಓದ್ದಲೇ ಇರೋದು, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾಮನ್ ರೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ಸ್. ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಎಸ್.
The writing portion of the exam is 60 minutes and topics vary depending on the exam format.
Okay.
If you are taking the academic test, topics will pertain to undergraduate and postgraduate studies or professional programs. Task 1 is to summarize a graph, table, diagram or chart.
ಇದನ್ನು ಓದುವಾಗ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ಗ್ರಾಫ್, ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ಪೇಸ್, ಟೇಬಲ್, ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಆರ್ ಚಾರ್ಟ್. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಜನರಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಹೂ ಆಲ್ ಕೇಮ್, ರಾಮ, ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಣ, ಭರತ, ಶತ್ರುಘ್ನ. All four of us went to the shop to buy something. So whenever there is a comma, your communication, whenever you are talking, you should be able to stress on, I am talking about this and then this and then this. If you read a graph, table, dice, design or chart and bitre, it will not carry any understanding to the listener. Next.
You may need to describe data. Trends
Data. It is data. Say.
Describe data. Trends are visuals. Task 2 requires you
Trends
to...
andre, can you make a sentence of trends? If you know the meaning. ಈಗ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಅನೌನ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. What will be the question of your friend if you are calling him? He says, what are you doing? I'm just watching the election result. So immediately what will be his question? Immediately his question will be, question is going to be, what is the trend? ಅಂದಾಗ ನೀವೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? The trend is showing BJP is going to win. The trend is showing Congress is going to lose. The trend is showing that Janata Dal is doing better than last election year. So that is what we call it as trend. Okay, so we call it as a trend. That means flow of whatever the results that is coming. I am watching a cricket match. People ask, what do you feel about the trend? He says, it seems like India is going to win. It seems like this match is going to be a draw. What are you understanding? You are understanding the flow of information from morning till this time, and then you are coming to a conclusion that the trend is going this side or that side. That is one. Next we will go for the task 2. What is this task 2? Yeah, continue.
Requires you to write an essay in response to a problem, argument or point of view.
Okay, the first task will be to summarize a graph, table or a diagram or a chart. The second will be where you will have to write your own a small brief essay on the response to a problem that is given in the test. IELTS exam ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅದನ್ನ either you will have to write or you will have to type online. Anything can happen. Okay, depending on whether you are taken up a written test or you are taken up an online. Okay, next.
This written response requires a formal style and proper grammar.
Okay, so whenever you are using, you need to use proper grammar. Only then it will be considered. So we have seen IELTS listening tips, we have seen IELTS writing tips, and we are going to see now a few more tips. What is the tips he is giving? Continue. Academic IELTS writing tips. Always include a conclusion at the end of your passage. See, whenever we talk about any particular topic, you should have a conclusion. After discussing this topic about whether women need to be given equal status in this 22nd century, I strongly feel yes. You will have to write your own conclusion. Is population explosion a danger to the human life? Yes, you will have to give a conclusion. So you will have to learn how to conclude the passage by giving a small conclusion. Okay, that should summarize your main points and closes your thoughts. Make sure of the words flow concisely. You should use good number of words. Then next, the general training test will focus on two tasks. What is the task 1? Task 1 is to explain the situation or a letter request which may be presented formally on a personal style. What will be the task 2? Task 2 is how you write a point of view in the essay with response to a problem, with response to an argument, which responds to a point of view. The topics could be common IELTS writing topics could be, I'll just give you some of the topics also. Common topics for IELTS writing task: overpopulation, poverty, homeless people, crime on streets, modern lifestyle, budget spending, public services. These are all the topics that will be given for your writing. Even for speaking, same kind of the topics will be given. Common topics given for speaking for IELTS speaking. What are the common topics given for IELTS speaking? Your childhood. Did you enjoy your childhood? Clothes. Are your clothes important to you? Dictionaries. Do you often use a dictionary? Family and friends. Do you spend much time with your family and friends? Like this, they will be giving a question. Okay. Now, one more what we can ask is, in essay, common topics given in essay. Essay writing. Okay. Common essay topics for IELTS writing task. What will be the common topics? Let us understand. So that we will be discussing about all this in our course material. Whatever the course material ನಾವು ನಿಮಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವೋ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಮನ್ ಆಗಿ ಇದು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೆನ್ಸರ್ಶಿಪ್, ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟಿವಿಟಿ, ಆರ್ಟ್ ಅಟ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್, small versus large business, international business, technology and communication, family and communication. These are the topics that you are going to choose. If you have chosen arts, one of these will come. If you have chosen business and money, one of these will come. If you have chosen communication and personality, one of this will come. Male and female characters, you should be able to discuss on that. The development of characters and personality, you should be able to discuss on that. Crime and punishment, on economics, cash versus credit cards, education, environment, family and children, food, health, language, media, and other common essay topics. Like that, these are the list of essay topics that you could expect in an IELTS exam. ಯಾವುದೇ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು ನೀವು ಮಾತಾಡೋ ಥರ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಈಗ what has happened is, because they cannot insist a person to go write IELTS exam and then come, in most of the interviews they will be actually doing a pseudo IELTS exam only to shortlist you. ನೀವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಜಾಬ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದರು, ನೀವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಹೈಯರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಜಾಬ್ಗೆ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಎ ಯಂಗ್ ಜಾಬ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಎಂಥೂಸಿಯಾಸ್ಟ್ ನೀವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಜಾಬ್ಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರು, ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಆಸ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ದ HR, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ದ ಕ್ಯಾಂಡಿಡೇಟ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ IELTS ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು, ಆಸ್ ಎನ್ HR ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಶುಡ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ಮೈ ಬಾಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ಡ್ ಮೀ ಟು ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ದ ರೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಸ್, ಆನ್ ದ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಸ್, ಆನ್ ದ ಸ್ಪೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಸ್, ಆನ್ ದ ಲಿಸನಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಸ್. ವಾಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಶುಡ್ ಐ ಫಾಲೋ? ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಯೂಸ್ ದ IELTS pattern. So today when you go for any kind of a BPO jobs, the interviews will be exactly a small portion of, that means IELTS is a big exam which is going to cost 18,000, 15,000 we saw. Adrudu chota version will be the interviews. Sometimes they will say, did you write the written test? Go and write the written test. Written test only they will give you essay, they will give you a passage writing, and they will give you questionnaire. In interview, I will be talking to you, I will get you into a conversation and I will identify. So ಇವೆಲ್ಲದನ್ನು ನೀವು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲಿಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. IELTS essay questions we have seen. Now we will continue with this IELTS tips. Ma'am, can you read this?
Academic IELTS writing tips. Always include a conclusion at the end of your passage that minimizes your main points, summarizes your main points, and closes of your thoughts. Make sure words flow
concisely.
concisely.
Okay, word flow concise ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು. Sir, you can read this.
Yes. The general training test will also focus on two tasks. The task one is
Two tasks, it is
two
plural.
tasks.
Okay, task 1.
Task one is to explain a situation or a letter request which may be presented formally or in a personal style. Task one is to write a point of view essay in response to a problem, argument, or a point of view. This section can be written in personal format.
Okay, so this essay we have already seen what kind of questions, common essay topics we have already seen. So in the same manner, next ma'am, you read.
General IELTS writing tips. Always express your point of view as clearly as possible. Do not copy words or
Phrases.
phrases.
You say it 5 times. Phrases. Yeah.
That will not be included in your final word count. Using descriptive words for your thoughts provides a readable and personalized easy
Personalized essay.
essay.
Sir, you can read this.
General IELTS writing tips.
ಅದು one go al karli. General IELTS writing tips. Always express your point of view as clearly as possible. Do not copy words or phrases that will not be included in your final word count. Using descriptive words for your thought provides provides a readable and personalized essay. ಈ ಥರ ಓದಬೇಕು. ನಮಗೆ ವಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎ ರೆಸಿಟೇಷನ್ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಇನ್ ಅವರ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಡೇಸ್. What was a recitation competition? I used to ask, what is this recitation competition? The same poem we'll have to by heart and we will have to say, what is that recitation? Are you doing the recitation properly? Are you giving the spaces properly? Are you increasing the pitch of your voice and decreasing the pitch of your voice according to the requirement? Is it fine tuned with the way you are telling? And is it giving a fluency experience to the audience? All this is called as a recitation competition. Okay, next. IELTS. Now we are going to speaking tips. We have seen listening, we have seen writing. Now we are going to speaking tips. Even in speaking tips, we saw the topics were common topics. Population overexposure, global warming, or is there another virus in the future more deadlier than corona? You should be able to speak. How should we actually face corona together? Like that, they will be giving the live topics which is happening in the market now, in the industry, in the world now. You should be ready for that. Yes, we will go for IELTS speaking tips. The listening portion of the exam will be 11 to 14 minutes and consists of 3 parts. During the part 1, the examiner will ask you general questions about your work, family, home, studies and personal interest. Just now you gave your self introduction. What did you speak about? You spoke about your work. You spoke about your family. Work. Where are you working? Where were you working? You spoke about work. You spoke about your family, your father, your mother. I told you if you are married, you are going to speak about them also. Because you are not married, you did not speak. Sir will have to speak. You spoke about family. You spoke about home. What else did you spoke? You spoke about your studies. Which college did you study? And you spoke about your personal interest. You spoke about your hobbies. You spoke about aim in life. Exactly the same thing I asked you to give in the self introduction. This is why we give you those things. Next, questions will last about 5 minutes. I am again talking about speaking tips. This is a conversation. This is the interview. Today, personal round of interview is nothing but they are checking your speaking skills. What are the speaking tips? You should know. In part first, the HR would like to know, or the IELTS examiner will like to know about your work, about your family, about your home, about your studies, about your personal interest. Next, questions will last about 5 minutes. For part 2, you will be given a card with a question about a general topic. That means they will hand over a card to you and this card will have question about a general topic. You have 1 minute to prepare before speaking about the topic for up to 2 minutes. How long will I have to speak? 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
How are we preparing for you with this? Every Saturday we are making you speak on any topic for minimum 1 minute. That is happening every Saturday. So slowly you are learning to speak perfectly. Now what are the topics of speaking? We have already seen common topics for IELTS speaking. It has part 1, part 2. Okay, what will be the common question? They will give you one card. In that card, what it will consider? Childhood. Did you enjoy your childhood? Clothes. Are the clothes important to you? Dictionaries. Do you often use dictionary? Family and friends. Do you spend much time with your family? These are the cards that they will be giving, and you will have to go through that. You have 1 minute to prepare. That means, again I'll tell you, questions will last about 5 minutes. This is for the part 1. Part 1, asking about your work, asking about your family. Sometimes they will say, can you elaborate about your family? Because new ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು self introduction, it completed in the 30-40 seconds. Sometimes it won't cross 1 minute. The rest of the 4 minutes, what he will do, he will start asking you more questions. You told you are working right now as a staff nurse. Can you tell me about your previous work? Then you will have to explain. Sir, initially after my graduation, my first job was this. After this, after this. That's over. Next, when I come to part 2, you will be given a card with questions about general topic. The topic I have already told you. These are the topics. And then you will have to speak for it for 2 minutes. That's the reason whenever it is every Saturday seminar, we ask you to prepare on this topic automatically. Shivaranjini ma'am. Okay. Now you have 1 minute to prepare before speaking about the topic for your 2 minutes talk. How many minutes talk? 2 minutes talk. You will be asked few further questions regarding the topic. When you speak about the topic, they can cross question you. ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ you say certain thing. India is doing much better when it comes to handling of COVID ಅಂತ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಟಾಕಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ. Immediately after you complete the 2 minutes, there can be a question. You told India is doing good. Do you have any facts to say that how India is doing good? Then you should remember certain facts and explain. Sometimes if you don't have facts, you can say right now the facts is not available, but India is doing good because of this reason. Athara, they will always ask a few further question again regarding the topic what you have spoken. Okay, next, what is the part 3? Part 3 contains further questions regarding topic in the part 2. Whatever the topic that you have taken, few further questions regarding topic, again few more questions regarding the topic. You will be able to further discuss ideas and issues about for 5 minutes. Then he will take you to general conversation. Okay, this is what happens. The listening portion will last for 11 to 14 minutes. Andre part 1 can take up for 5 minutes. 15 minutes or 5 minutes ಆಯಿತು. ಪಾರ್ಟ್ 2 ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್ಗೆ 1 ಮಿನಿಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ 2 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಷನ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೊಂದು 5 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಮುಗೀತು. ಇವೆರಡಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು 4 to 5 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ 11 to 14 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಯುವರ್ IELTS ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಓವರ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಸ್. ಅಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ವರ್ಷಾನುಗಟ್ಟಲೆ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ದ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ IELTS ಸ್ಪೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಟಿಪ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಟು practice speaking English out loud as much as possible. You will be asked few further questions adella aitu. The best IELTS speaking tips are to practice speaking English out loud. Can you repeat it 10 times?
The best IELTS speaking tips are to practice speaking English out loud.
Are you speaking loud? No.
Loud.
If you see this picture, whenever I speak, it is touching and it is coming red. Whenever you speak, it is not coming. Why? You are speaking very low tone. That will not help you. That will not show confidence. What they will say, hey, you call that nurse, she seems to be very confident. You go and you say, actually morning, how are you, Mr. Ravi? Can I inject you? Yes, ma'am. ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರು ಹೋದಾಗ ಈ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾಂಡ್. ವೈ? ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಟಿಂಗ್. ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಸಂಬಡಿ ಏನೇ ಅದು ಫ್ಲಿಕರ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಯಾರೋ ಕೈ ಕಾಲು ಏನೇನೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಯಾವ್ದನ್ನ ಆನ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಸರ್? ಇದು ಮುಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಅವಾಗ ಆನ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಬರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ವಿ ಡಿಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್. ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಲುಕ್. Okay, the best IELTS speaking tips are to practice speaking English out loud. You will have to practice it loud as much as possible. ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ಲೌಡಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಕಲಿತ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಯುವರ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್. ರೀಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ವಿಲ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ. ಓಕೆ, ದ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ IELTS ಸ್ಪೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಟಿಪ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಟು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಸ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಔಟ್ ಲೌಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಮಚ್ as possible and listen to yourself. How do you listen to yourself? I always insist my students to record. You should have put it to recording. WhatsApp ಅಲ್ಲಿ there is an option you can record. You come to WhatsApp conversation between you and me, you can always record. When you record, it automatically tells, sir, I think you were outside. If you want to actually, if IELTS needs to give you one best tip, the best tip is whenever you are practicing to speak English, speak out loud as much as possible. Idanna day one in the, if you follow, automatically you will be able to do it better. And listen to yourself. That's the reason we say you will have to record. Now she is recording at home. Let it be as it is. After you have completed, you can keep it. You keep it here, nothing will happen. Okay, so she is doing the recording. Where is the WhatsApp now? This is basic evening speaking. The recording will happen. Afterwards we can press this. Automatically the recording will conclude, so that you can listen to your own voice and make out if you are going wrong anywhere. Okay, take advantage of every opportunity to have a verbal conversation with friends. That means you should take opportunity to communicate with me, to communicate with the Shivaranjani, to communicate with your friends, to communicate with your colleagues and your teachers. The more confident you are with your speaking abilities, the easier the verbal comprehension becomes. That is the basic practice. There are no right and wrong answers on speaking test. So take your time, express your thoughts and use proper English. Andre, if you are not going to speak about any facts, it does not matter, because the person is not checking what is your knowledge in the subject. But sometimes your knowledge should be equally good. What is he checking? He is not checking whether your facts and answers were right or wrong. He is only checking your speaking test. He is only checking how you are able to express within that 2 minutes of time, and are you using proper English, are you using proper grammar. This is the basic things that he is going to do. Now next would be, we have seen speaking tips, we have seen writing tips, we have seen listening tips. The fourth and the last important vertical will be reading tips. Reading, I have been asking you to do it, but let us understand what exactly is perfectly trying to read things. Sometimes in an interview they will give you a piece of paper and they will say, please read this. They will be using certain words which are actually little confusing, and it will be tongue twisters. ನಿಮಗೆ ಕ್ಲೀನಾಗಿ ಪ್ರೊನೌನ್ಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ಬರಬಾರ್ದು ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರನೇ they will be picking up some of the words. If you cannot pronounce it properly, they will automatically know he or she is not good in actually speaking. Very simple. So we will go for IELTS reading tips. The IELTS reading portion is 60 minutes long. How long? 60 minutes long. Only reading portion, and is comprised. We told our entire IELTS exam is for 2 hours and 45 minutes. In that 60 minutes will be spent on reading. Okay, 15 minutes will be spent on speaking. And then when it comes to IELTS writing, here also 60 minutes is spent. 60 minutes is here, 15 minutes is here, again 60 minutes here. That means 2 hours 15 minutes is gone. So some may extend a little bit, some may not. So we will go to this. The IELTS reading portion will be for 60 minutes long and is comprised of 40 questions that test multiple reading skills. You must be able to pick up the detailed information, skim read, comprehend opinions and arguments, and summarize ideas. So it is simple reading only, but reading can be done in multiple best ways possible. That only by practice you will get. One is reading them correctly, reading them using punctuations, reading them and pronouncing the words perfectly, and reading them with a rhythmic reading. Avella ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ then they will consider you are doing a good reading. Next, the academic test includes 3 long texts that can range from factual to analytical context. The document will be like that. Scripts are taken from magazines, newspapers, journals and books, and then they will ask you to read. They are selected at a skill level for individuals entering university, separate readings. Seeking professional designation, for them it will be separate. I am being tried for managerial post, then the IELTS score should be 9 and above. I am trying for a entry level job, IELTS can be 5 and above. I am trying for a intermediate job, not higher end managerial job, not entry level job, then my score should be 8. That is how the score is being divided. I told you about the score earlier, we will again look into it. The general reading test includes articles from books, newspapers, magazines, advertisement and guidelines. Sometimes they may give law journals also. Why they give you law journals is those will have difficult words which you are not regularly used to. Now common again, whenever I read a newspaper I will know. You go to a lawyer and ask him to give one of the judgment, and when you look at the judgment copy and when you start reading, you will find, oh, you have so many English words are there, I really don't know about it. They will ask you to read that, but they will be checking, not you should be perfect in all, at least 80% you should be able to read, because it is new words. How are you joining those words and coming to a pronunciation? All that will be checked. That is the very reason whenever we are giving you this one, we start with basic things also. When you are able to read yard perfectly, yard will come in a big word and YARD will be one of those 4 letters. How will you manage to read that? So you should perfectly read yard. So this is how it has to be practiced, and we will continue to go for advanced tips. Okay, now the number one IELTS reading test tip is to practice. How do you practice? Every day read various newspapers. If you read, it's not going to help. You will have to read in the presence of the teacher. I am the teacher, you are reading, I am correcting. I am the teacher, you are reading, you are correcting. So pick up somebody who can listen to your reading and correct you wherever you go wrong. Yes. Speed is not determinant in a successful exam. Rather, skillful reading is important. That means it allows you to pick up critical words, ideas and general context perfectly. All the information you need to answer the questions are included in the text, so take your time and find the answer. Now, what will be some of the reading articles that would be given in IELTS? We'll ask and read one or those so that we say I am good at this. Reading articles. Common IELTS reading articles. I'll just open one of it and try to read. It could be CNN News, BBC News, General News, The Wall Street. I'll be sharing a few of those journals I've downloaded. Okay, dirty river but clean water. Floods can occur in rivers when the flow rate exceeds the capacity of the river channel, particularly at bends, meanders in the waterway. Floods often cause damage to homes and businesses if they are in the natural floodplains of the river. While riverine is a new word, use ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. Meanders ನನಗೂ ಒಂಚೂರು ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಯಿತು. It is not a regular word. Okay, if they are in natural floodplains of the rivers, while riverine flood damage can be eliminated by moving away from the rivers and other bodies of water, people have traditionally lived and worked by the rivers because the land is usually flat and fertile, and because rivers provide easy travel and access to commerce and industry. Next, fire. The fire and the flood are two of the humanity's worst nightmares. People have therefore always sought to control them. Ma'am, will you continue? Forest.
Forest fires are snuffed out
Snuffed.
quickly. The flow of
ಕ್ವಿಕ್ಲಿ
rivers.
ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಫುಲ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಬೇಕು, ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್,
The flow of rivers is regulated by weirs and
wheels
dams.
and dams.
At least
Okay,
that is how it used to be.
that is how it used to be. ಆ ಒಂದು ಫ್ಲೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕು. That is how it used to be. But foresters have learned that forests need fires to clear out the brush and even to get seeds of germinate. Sir, ನೀವು ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿ. And in similar revelation,
And a similar revelation is now drawing on
dawning
dawning on
hydrologists. Dawning means ಅದು ಡಾನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಮುಳುಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಇದನ್ನ.
dawning on hydrologists. Rivers and the ecosystems they support need floods.
Rivers and the ecosystems they support need floods. That is how the flow should be. That is why man-made torrent has been surging down the Grand Canyon. Why will be silent? Cannot. By Thursday, March 6th, it was running at full throttle, which was expected to be sustained for 60 hours. You will have to practice. There is no shortcut. You will have to practice. So, on a daily basis, we will be working on your practice session, but still, we will continue and then go for the next. Okay. Now, the general reading test includes articles from books, newspapers, magazines, advertisement, or guidelines. These materials are meant for everyday exposure of comprehension. Okay, the number one IELTS reading test tip is to practice speed, and it is not to determine in a successful exam. Rather, what is that they are going to check? Skillful reading that allows you to pick up critical words, ideas, and general context. All the information you need to answer the questions are included in the text, so take your time and find answers. Next, to pass the IELTS exam, you need a minimum overall score of 6.5 with a minimum 6.0 in each category. ಕೆಲವುದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ 8 ಬಂದು, ಕೆಲವುದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ 6 ಬಂದು, average 6.5 ಬಂದರೂ you will be considered as failed. Why? Because in each category minimum has to be 6. 9 ಬಂತು, ಒಂದರಲ್ಲಿ 4 ಬಂತು, still it is failed. Okay, so academic test, minimum accepted scores vary depending on the institutional requirement. That means some of them, when they are advertising in the job ad only, they will be mentioning IELTS score should be above 7, IELTS score should be above 9 ಆ ಥರ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Now, are you looking for an express entry program? Contact immigration lawyer firm Toronto. That will do. Today we will end up our class because I wanted to give you an importance of what we are going to teach, what all we are going to teach, and how will be our approach towards you learning English, where should you learn English, how should you learn English, all this. So we will